So Joseph, we've come to know BHP Billiton as a company that has grown and grown and grown. Today comes news that it might be shrinking itself, perhaps quite radically. What's the latest?
Yes, I mean, its shares are up about almost 2.5% today after it confirmed, to no great surprise, that it's considering structural options for getting rid of non-core assets. That's code for a demerger, as well as the more traditional asset sales, which it has been doing over the last 2 years. Those assets are aluminium, nickel, manganese, which is 5% barely of their earnings. But very interestingly, these are the old Billiton assets before there was a BHP Billiton. When the two merged in 2001, this is what came over to BHP's iron ore, copper and oil and gas. So like you said, it has grown over time, but this would be quite a telling shrinkage, really.
And would these sort of old Billiton-style assets, would they make a coherent company on their own to be floated off or sold? Do they make sense together?
Yeah, I mean, one number which is floating around here and which we should be cautious about is that the assets are worth about $19 billion, which seems way too much. I mean, it is actually quite possible to think of other non-core assets which BHP might be holding and to sort of bundle them into a new company. Morgan Stanley, for example, tried this with thermal coal, in addition to base metals, and also petroleum assets outside the US, and got to a almost $50 billion enterprise value. So you can run the numbers lots of ways here, but however you cut it, it would be a smaller company. Aluminium is a terrible market at the moment. It's very difficult to see other buyers coming in there. The nickel and manganese businesses are interesting, however, because in nickel, BHP actually has some fairly long life assets, which that's always attractive, even if the margins and the earnings aren't fantastic. And in manganese, well, that's the biggest manganese business in the world, and BHP is a sprawling empire when a business of that scale isn't good enough scale for BHP. So they can probably find a home somewhere. But it's really just deciding what they want to do with it, sales or a demerger or something else.
And finally, what would the remaining core of BHP look like?
Well, I mean, they like to talk about their 4 pillars, essentially old BHP, iron ore, copper, and oil and gas, especially in the US, as well as remaining stuff in coal, and a 5th option, which is potash in Canada. Now, if you look at the geography of all those assets, they are all in the OECD, which is, cutting political risk straight out of the company. Earnings is very strong. The margins on iron ore mining, for example, are fantastic. But it's a bit staid, it's a bit boring, and you have to wonder, once they've decided what to do with the non-core assets, what will they do after that, and will they try and grow again after that point?
It could be a case then of history repeating itself over and over again. Joseph, thank you very much.